Hi there, I'm Allison Moon, and welcome to 90 Days of Self-Publishing, and today is day 60, and I wanted to weigh in again on something that I mentioned the other day regarding the LGBT kerfuffle that's going on, and talk a little bit about marketing. This is something that I mentioned in my self-publishing manifesto, and this is one of the reasons why I decided to self-publish. I've said it before, I'll say it again, the publishing industry is not about art. It's not. Just like Hollywood's not about art. And the art business isn't about art. There's very little around business that's actually about the quality of the art. Now, every once in a while, a book like Push by Sapphire comes out and everybody pats themselves on the back for, publishing such a beautiful book and an honest book about, the struggle of a black woman. Right? Like, somehow this is supposed to be like they proved themselves to be awesome because they published one book about the struggle of a black woman in an urban environment out of however many dozens of terrible celebrity memoirs they publish, right? It's not a problem, it's not a bad thing. I don't want to condemn the publishing industry for this reason. I think it's fine. But it's commodity, it's capitalism. It is selling as much of whatever you sell to create more of that thing. It's not about quality, really. Now, if you find great quality work, then you get excited. I mean, I don't know anybody who went into the publishing industry because they wanted to publish, snooky biographies, but I do know people who went into the publishing industry with a lot of high hopes for being able to publish really beautiful, amazing works, and they're happy when they get to do that once out of every 10 other books that they do. Just like a lot of us, we get excited when we get to have one good day at work out of any other days we have, right? This is the way capitalism works. This is how it works best, right? You have to cast the widest net as possible in order to make the money, in order to keep feeding the machine. Now again, you have a lot of small publishing companies, just like you have a lot of independent film companies that will do smaller things, and then they're able to take bigger risks because they don't have as high of an overhead. They don't have to pay rent on Broadway, right? So they're able to try some other new things, and just like anything else, they'll fail a lot and then they'll succeed sometimes, and that's what keeps them moving. I think of publishing like I think about moving to LA to become an actor. There are so many extraordinary actors in Los Angeles. They're not all just wide-eyed kids who are just think that they're hot enough to make it in a movie. There are amazing artists and craftspeople living in Los Angeles who are struggling and will struggle for the rest of their lives to make a living doing what they love. Just like with publishing, there are so many books, and it's a numbers game at that level, right? It's not about, keep writing better stuff and keep honing that one novel until you turn it into the novel that HarperCollins will want to buy. That's not how it works. It's a numbers game. There are too many books being written in this world and too few publishing slots being offered to them. It's just not adding up. So there will be inevitably hundreds of thousands of books that are really good quality that will never get read. Now, in trying to sell your LGBT or any sort of minority view book to a large publishing house, they have to weigh the numbers. If the book is so extraordinary, if it's another Harry Potter, then they'll probably be able to take a risk, and then they'll again say, yay, look at how well we support our gay authors and our gay characters. But most of the time, they're not looking for that. They're looking for something that's just so extraordinary it'll sell. And if it happens to be gay, then it's great, but it has a couple of other hurdles to overcome, because for every reader out there who says, I don't care if the character is gay, I just want a good story, there are dozens more who don't want their kids reading about gay people, or they don't want to, have that foisted upon them as they read a book. They don't want to be surprised or taken off guard, or have to have any sort of weird confrontations with their own senses of right and wrong. So, I just want to say, the reason why I self-published is because I didn't want to have to deal with that game. I didn't want to have to play that game. I didn't want to have to convince a large publishing house that really I'm good enough to make straight men buy a book about lesbians. I mean, straight men will buy a book about lesbians, but you know what I mean. I didn't want to have to force that on them. I didn't want to have to convince them, because honestly, I'm not really interested in playing that game. I was more interested in getting my books to people who want to read them. And I know that there are people who want to read them, so that's why I have to be my own champion. That's what being an author is these days. You have to be your own champion. It's like any artist. You have to hustle. You have to hustle and create and just keep on creating stuff. And some of it will hit, and some of it won't, but you keep on working forward. I was a curator for many years, and I was working with a lot of artists who were just kind of getting started in their careers. And it would be a game of, you put 40 pieces in the gallery, and if one sells, well then Yahtzee, you may have paid half your rent that month. But you have to put 40 pieces on that wall. And sometimes they won't sell at all. Sometimes none of them will sell. Sometimes you'll get one guy in who, happens to really love the piece and he's willing to shell out the, $3,000 for it. But that is so difficult to create. And so I think that like my whole, what I want to convey to people who are trying to publish and are getting discouraged by this conversation about whether it's, publishing companies are discriminating against gay characters or whatnot, is that be your own best champion. No one else cares about your work the way you do. No one else ever will. You have to be the champion of your work. If that means you have to find, to convince Simon & Schuster to buy one of your books, then fine, go that path. But make sure it's the right one for you. Make sure it's the essential one for you, because otherwise you'll spin your wheels for years trying to make someone love you. And that just sounds sad and depressing, when you could be spending more time telling all your friends about your work and sharing that community on the web and sharing your work and continuing to produce work and finding that it delivers you joy instead of more self-loathing, right? Like these industries, the capitalistic machine around art is really geared towards making you feel bad about yourself for authentic expressions. So my advice is, if you can figure out a way around that, if you can create your authentic expression and get it out there in a way that allows you to feel fulfilled and strong, and every once in a while you might take a hit from somebody, but that will only keep you moving forward, then do that. Do that, because it is a much more beautiful way to move through the world as an artist, instead of just another cog in some sort of, publishing or Hollywood or art world machine. So anyway, thank you for joining me. I will be back tomorrow with more stuff from 90 Days of Self-Publishing. Thanks. Bye.